So I'm kind of just making these videos as I go along, not necessarily week by week or um, any specific regimen. I'm just kind of making them as I go along, but I will track the actual dates. So today is April 7th, I believe. Let me double check that. Yes, it is. Thursday, April 7th. I quit drinking just 5 days ago. And I think, I'm sorry, just had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Something I haven't had in forever either, and I love peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, but even just putting spread on two pieces of bread was like too much work for me when I was drinking because I'd rather just go somewhere, order it, and have someone bring me out my food. Which is fucking bullshit. But uh, I know a lot of people will probably say this is way too early for you to be talking about any benefits of sobriety or like you just barely started not drinking. I'm 26 years old and I've been drinking since I was about 14. That's really when I started like going to parties, drinking, and I knew the very first time I had alcohol, boom, loved it. I love alcohol. I'm already an extrovert, and you know, going to parties like people already would know that Kyle's gonna party. If we're here, we're gonna have fun. But alcohol just like doubled what I was capable of. And if I was funny, I was way funnier. And if I was doing something hilarious, it would be even funnier because I was drunk. And that's what I always thought and told myself. And somewhere along the line, it shifted from Kyle being funny, and that's why we remember he was there, to Kyle got really fucked up and did a lot of stupid shit, and that's why he was there. But I was still the center of attention. But what I'm getting at is that with people saying that maybe this is too early for me to be commenting on anything about being sober. I've tried to be sober so many times, and I would always say that I just need to get a handle on my drinking, or um, I need to just moderate it, and it would feel like I had two different people inside of my head screaming like one side would say, especially after a night of like fighting with my girlfriend, or I did something really stupid, or I almost got another DUI. I would always say, I'd wake up and the very first thing I would say to myself is, dude, you're a fucking alcoholic. You need to stop drinking. And that would immediately be tidal waved by my urge to want to keep drinking and say, no, you're not an alcoholic. You just need to fucking figure out that balance. How can you continue to drink and not have to quit, not have to stop? And I've gone through periods of sobriety, and I think the biggest difference for me was even when I was sober for a couple weeks, it was it was still such a challenge. I would wake up and be like, okay, I'm not drinking today, but it would be on my mind, and like I'd have to really be doing something so mentally uh, focus, like something that would take so much of my mental focus that I couldn't think of anything else. And it's hard to find things that take almost all of your mental capacity to keep doing, and that's a lot of energy. But then once you're done with that, you think about drinking again. And I never truly admitted that I was an alcoholic. It was something that I kind of struggled with inside, going back and forth. And I think it's because I would have times where I drank and I'm like, that was fine. Nothing bad happened. But there was also times that I would drink and bad things would happen. And I would just say, well, you have a balance with everything. But this last time, when I finally was able to admit it, not just to myself, truly understand what it meant to admit that I was an alcoholic, and that I'm sorry. Another weird thing is that I can't burp. I love to drink beer, and I can't burp. I've never learned how to burp, so I'm always twisting my head and like pushing on my stomach, and it just gurgles up, and it's a shitty thing. But I never said to anyone else in my life, I'm an alcoholic. I shouldn't drink. So when I text my girlfriend all that stuff, and then I put it on Facebook, I was effectively, sent that nuke off. I'm burning all my bridges. I would have to go really far out to try to get to a bar to not drink, and it's it's just this beautiful feeling that I've had these last 5 days. It's been 5 days, and in 5 days, I've done more than I would do in 2 weeks when I was drinking. and I I haven't really had an urge to drink. It's, if anything, it's been more of a physical memory thing where if I walk by a beer aisle, my legs want to turn me into that aisle, but I know I'm not drinking. Uh, and I used to say I wish I could be someone that could moderate their drinking and not have it be a problem. But now I'm actually kind of seeing that being an alcoholic is kind of a blessing in disguise. It's a really rough road to get that awesome, you know, I'm not religious, so blessing is kind of a weird word, but I mean, I guess it is a blessing, because once you don't have alcohol in your life, you don't have to deal with hangovers. You're pure in your mind, and I've gotten to the point now where I'm like, I don't even want to, you know, do acid or ecstasy or any hard drugs I used to fuck with, and I haven't really been into drugs for a long time. The only thing I would ever do is if I got really drunk and there was some coke around, like maybe I'd fuck with that, or I'd smoke some cigarettes, you know. But it's never anything I would do when I'm sober because it's gross. But drunk Kyle loved it, um, and the only thing I do is like I have a little weed pen, and right before I go to bed on most nights, I'll hit that, and that just kind of relaxes me before I go to sleep. But there are some nights that I don't do it, or I'm tired enough that I'm like I don't need to have a little weed pen, and weed has never been my issue. It's always been alcohol, and those are two totally different things. Like I I've seen. I'm a firm believer now that you can abuse anything. You can abuse food. You can abuse drugs or alcohol. You can abuse social media. You can abuse relaxation. You can abuse work. You can abuse working out. You can abuse anything. And weed has never been something I really abused. Even when I was a teenager and I was like kind of a stoner pothead, it never, like I graduated high school on time. You know, I still was sharp and with it. The only thing that ever fucked my shit up was alcohol. Um, but I have such hope for my future, and I never once, uh, I don't believe that if you're an alcoholic that you'll ever be cured of it. I always think that it is a silent demon that will always be with you, and the only way that he can shackle you is when you put alcohol in your body. Otherwise, you're free, you're pure. There's no way he can touch you unless you put it back in. Another analogy, I'm really big on analogy and metaphors, and I make them up all the time. Another one that I thought of is that alcohol is this engine that takes over your body, and it's cast in this indestructible metal that is just completely entrenched into your framework, your essence of who you are, who your being is. But it can only turn on with the fuel of alcohol. And it'll never go away. It's always there. But just like a car without gasoline, if you never put gasoline in it, it'll never work. But it'll still be there. So alcoholism is like that engine that is always with us alcoholics. But if you don't put alcohol in it, it'll never work. But it stays pristine, always waiting. All it needs is a little bit of fuel, and it starts right back up. And then the best thing about that alcoholic machine is it's really good at getting more fuel once it's got a little bit of fuel. And so I can just never give it fuel. But I don't want to make this one too long, especially because I'm only 5 days in. But I can't wait to see the videos that I come out with in the future. I'm going to upload this hopefully today. I got a bunch of stuff I'm trying to do around the house. But yeah, man, I'm feeling great, and I know it's like a day by day thing. I'm not in AA. I don't like AA. It doesn't work for me. I'm not religious, and I know that like find your own higher power, but it always circles back to God, and I don't even really like hearing people talk about God. And it's just my own personal thing. Like, I have my opinions on religion and on God and faith, and I just don't like being around them. You know, it annoys me to the point where I feel like I need to say something, and I'd rather just eliminate myself from the equation rather than come off as some asshole, because if faith and religion helps you, fine, whatever, go ahead. But there's a lot of hypocrisy in it. Anyway, I'm not getting into that. What I'm saying is that I've done about, I was court ordered to do 30 and then 15 at one time, so I've at least done 45 AAs, and I think I've done a couple in there going with friends. And it doesn't work for me. But what does work for me is the gym is kind of like my meditation. I go in there and I set up my own challenges and I accomplish them, and then when I leave, I feel like everything is realigned, and it's definitely my form of just centering myself and having something consistent, and especially knowing that I'm just building off of my own will and my own motivation. And it's crazy looking back how much alcohol controls my life, I'm sorry, controlled my life. How I was unable to do anything else I wanted to do without alcohol. And looking back now, it seems insane. It seems fucking mind blowing that the last 12 years of my life, I'm 26, last 12 years of my life, I've not been able to do what I wanted to do without alcohol. Even if I was dragged along to do something where there was no alcohol, I'd be upset the whole fucking time because I couldn't drink, and I'd be the bummer. But if there was one single beer there and I was given it, I'd be happy. And I immediately switch over. And even when the beer was gone, at least if I have a little bit of a buzz, I'm like, okay, and I try to play it off like, no, I was just cranky, I'm sorry. But it was just because there was no booze. I couldn't enjoy any life without booze. And when I first stopped drinking, or very first time I tried to stop drinking and take a break, I was like, this is so boring. Would I just sit here and be sober? No, you fucking idiot. You go find something fun to do. There's so many other things in the world that you can do that do not require alcohol, or that you can do without alcohol. I live in Northern California. We go to the river a lot, and if I'd wake up and me and my girlfriend would be like, hey, let's go to the river today, I'm like, awesome. And she'd go, but please no drinking today. I immediately was like, I don't want to go then. Why would I want to go sit on a river without booze? It feels, for the first time in my life, I feel like I can really focus on my happiness and my future, and not have to deal with depression and regret, and how am I going to pay bills, and how am I going to consistently keep this lie under wraps that I'm not an alcoholic, that I'm like everybody else. And now I use alcohol, me being an alcoholic, as this suit of armor that repels alcohol. But like I said, it's day 5. I'll keep coming back. I'll keep posting videos, and thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys soon.